You don't even have to say nothing. I already know. I know. I can't help it, man. Don't give me no gun, man. You know what I'm gonna do.
As many people may already know, NBA star Ja Morant doesn't know how to manage himself or his interactions on social media, as once again, in the last 2 months, he has been caught on IG Live brandishing a handgun. Now, this situation falls under the whole issue of being woke or unwoke, as I ungrammatically named this channel, in that this culture, harbors not being accountable or responsible, but more of a facade that things are okay when in actuality they're not. What Ja has isn't a mental issue, as a lot of people use nowadays, to gain sympathy for their bad behavior. This is just an issue of stupidity that needs consequences to align their behavior correctly. Kind of like what you do with a child. When the first video went down about 2 months ago, I remember talking to a friend about it while we were out watching a UFC fight. And he had said that Ja should be suspended for the rest of the season. And I was like, you know what, that's kind of harsh, Then he brought to my attention that Ja Morant's prior altercations to that, that were not disciplined by the NBA. From the mall security issue, where I believe his mother had some type of altercation with a mall employee. So she had called Ja, and he had showed up with his friends and apparently threatened a mall security guard. When he had told me about the situation, my friend that is, the first thing I thought to myself was, why didn't she call the dad, who I assumed she was still married to? That was kind of odd. Then he had told me about an altercation Ja had with some teenager in one of his basketball camps in Memphis, where he also threatened this kid. And I was blown away because up to that time, I never heard about these stories with Ja Morant. And what was worse was when my friend was telling me about these 2 past incidents, I looked them up online and I stumbled upon 2 other incidents that even he'd even know about, which was another altercation with another teenager who apparently called Ja Morant's sister a bitch, and another incident involving the Indiana Pacers, where apparently some guy in Ja Morant's entourage got in a dispute with some Pacer fans, and later on after the game, someone inside the SUV that Ja was also inside of as well had pointed a red laser at the group, insinuating that they're going to shoot them. Man, I was blown away when I heard and read these things. So then after that point, I agree with my boy. I was like, yeah, based on this stuff, he should be suspended for the rest of the season. But a few days later, it was reported that he only got a 8-game suspension and had entered rehab for 10 days. I was like, really?
Ja, when did you realize I need to get some counseling? Tell me that morning, your thought process, and when you entered.
It was that morning, when I woke up and, seen my, name all over the media for, bad reasons, the wrong reasons, which I didn't, wanted to see. And, I made a call and said, I need to get away and, I need to, find myself again. And, that's when I entered the counseling program, and, I've been there for a couple weeks now.
What has it been like for you over these last couple of weeks, and how has it been for you to make tough decisions about who you rolling with as it relates to your inner circle?
It definitely has been tough because, I'm big on loyalty, but, I had, like I said, have to, be there for myself. I have to, put myself in good position. So, I have to, find out, who's really for me and who's going to help me, be in good positions at all times. Mm-hmm. And, that's the decisions I had to make, decisions, I felt good about and very comfortable about that, I'm going to be in a positive, light now with everything, that I've made, everything that I've learned in my 2 weeks.
This told me something I pretty much already knew about the NBA in the past decade or so, but this was a full confirmation that the NBA's image and messaging are not in alignment. I mean, you suspend Kyrie Irving 8 games for an insensitive tweet, and Ja gets the same amount of games after the 4 incidents I mentioned, and after the first IG Live gun video. I mean, what messaging are you sending, NBA? Punish one, for what was not to be attended as an offense, but not punish another for actual intended offenses, until you have a video that affects the league's fake image? Come on. We know, or at least I know, that Commissioner Adam Silver, who is super woke, therefore super weak, so now the NBA image is weak, as well as their messaging is weak. As right now, the league is very tolerant and lenient and, easygoing on a lot of things. I mean, the league focused more on being inclusive. That's why they're advocating so hard for an NBA team to hire the first female coach. I mean, the league's focus is all off. They should have punished Ja a long time ago. I mean, just think about this. Ja Morant, obviously, he can own a firearm. Hell, he could pretend to act as a gangster around his friends. That's nothing new. I grew up in this hip hop era, so I can understand to a degree, about the imaging. But all he had to do was not advertise this behavior on social media, and he couldn't even do that at the expense of losing millions. If that's not a serious problem, then that tells me that this life or pretend life of being a thug is more important than being successful. That could, a success that could benefit your family, your loved ones, and possibly a community of people that depend on you, for generations. I mean, granted, that could be a heavy burden to bear as a young man, who's also a father, which in my opinion adds more credence of being responsible and accountable. But this is nothing new, even in the age of social media, because we don't see LaMelo Ball or Jason Tatum and many other NBA stars doing this stupid shit. So this is not a generational issue with NBA athletes. This is a Ja Morant issue, and the league should have came down harder on him the first time, as like I mentioned earlier, he had prior issues that were not even addressed. The NBA is not a league about basketball. The NBA is a corporation that gains revenue from TV contracts, advertisements, gambling, merchandise, etc. All predicated off the entertainment through the sport of basketball. It doesn't matter who wins or loses, really. It really doesn't. I mean, if LeBron and the Lakers win, that's great. If they lose, who cares? The NBA, they got a narrative that will generate interest off the loss or a blowout. So it doesn't matter either way. So a player like Ja Morant, from a talent standpoint, he's just an interchangeable cog. He could be easily replaced with Jamal Murray or Trae Young. But Ja, he already signed an extension last year that will kick in the I believe the next NBA season, where his earnings will go up from $10 million a year from his rookie deal to $40 million a year. Now that's a huge jump in income, and of course with the NBA, pretty much all that money is guaranteed. So Ja knows he has a long rope to hang himself from, as a team will not cut a player with that much money left on the books. They just won't do it. So as a league, because I'm sure the team, the Memphis Grizzlies that is, doesn't want to be held responsible for this, but as a league, they got to go a similar route they did with Gilbert Arenas over a decade ago, where he got suspended 50 games for bringing guns into the locker room. Now, I say similar, but not exact, because Gilbert Arenas, he broke state gun laws when he did that. Now, Ja, in his issue, he didn't break any type of laws. But from an image standpoint, the league has to at least suspend Ja for about 20 games, which is about a quarter of a season. And by doing so, hopefully he will feel this more in his pockets, as this suspension will be under his new contract of $40 million a year as opposed to $10 million a year. I mean, I hate to say it, but this young man, he deserves this. As once again, this isn't a mental issue. This is a lack of consequences issue. That's what I believe. So let me know in the comments below, what punishment, if any at all, do you think Ja Morant should get? Let me know. I'd like to hear.